May we think of the freedom not as the right to do as we please, but as the opportunity to do what is right. Good morning, everyone. We are from team number 8, and the topic on which we are going to take seminar is Scheme of Fundamental Right to Certain Freedom under Article 19. And the team members are myself, Aishwarya, Sadhana, Shanmugavalli, Shruti, Sneha, Trisha, and Vaishnavi. So, I am going to explain the introductory part. Article 19, that is right to freedom, is one of the most important fundamental right. It is said to be the heart of constitution and it is the backbone of part 3 fundamental right. And Article 19 says that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. So, now, what is the right to freedom? Freedom means absence of constraints. Constraints from whom? That is, from an individual or from the government. So, right to freedom comes with some reasonable restrictions. This is because freedom is not an unlimited license to do what we want. Our freedom should not affect the surrounding and should not cause any public nuisance. Therefore, to protect larger interest of the society, government can impose certain reasonable restrictions. Now here comes a question that what happened on August 15, 1947? So everyone among us will say that we got independence, but it's wrong. India got independence. It is the right way of saying what happened on that day. There is a lot of difference between these two. So what happened on that day? Actually, this was the date on which British government transferred the power to Indian leaders. Now it was up to Indian leaders to decide how much freedom they wanted to Indian people. And this all was decided in Constituent Assembly. For easy understanding, Article 19 is divided into two parts. That is, Article 19 Clause 1, which gives citizens six freedoms to various liberties, and 19 Clause 2 to Clause 6, which gives restrictions imposed by state on citizens, like security of state, avoid defamation, contempt of court, sovereignty and integrity of India. And freedom to citizens are like freedom of speech and expression, freedom of assembly, freedom to form association, freedom of movement, freedom of residence and settlement, and freedom of profession, occupation, trade, and business. So, our constitution protects these six democratic freedoms against state action, but it doesn't protect these six democratic freedoms against any individual. So, freedom of speech includes expressing expressing their own thoughts, ideas, belief, opinion, even attitude, whether it is good or bad. And under freedom of speech, freedom of press, cinematography, peaceful demonstration, etc. are also included. So, freedom of expression includes expressing their own ideas, thoughts in the form of art and creativity, like painting, dancing, and through songs and movies. So, freedom of speech and expression says that the fundamental right guaranteed to express their opinions and dissenting point of view without censorship and fear of anyone. The freedom of assembly can be gathered to form for the formation of public opinions on any social, political, or religious matter, and it is our fundamental right to form a peaceful assembly without any arms or weapon. So, freedom to form association. It says that any person has the freedom to organize or to be a member of any group, association, union, or society and to adopt the rules that are appropriate. The freedom of movement. This freedom states that this article guarantees every citizen right to freely move in part and territory of India without any restriction. And this article doesn't extend to travel abroad. This article is guaranteed only to the citizen of the country. And freedom of movement is the very essence of our free society. Once the right to travel is curtailed, all other rights suffers. Now, freedom of residence and settlement. It states that this article guarantees every citizen right to settle in any part of India. If there is no freedom of movement, there cannot be any freedom of residence. And the last freedom is freedom of profession, occupation, trade, and business. And it states that this article guarantees every citizen right to practice and carry on trade, occupation, and business. Now, these freedoms will be explained briefly one by one in upcoming slides. Now, over to next presenter.
I'm Sharmagavalli and I'm going to explain about the freedom of speech and expression under Article 1920. This is one of the fundamental rights of the citizen of India is freedom of speech and expression. This is allowed to the citizen by a lot of countries to empower the citizen to share their own thoughts and views. Freedom of speech allows the people of our country to express themselves and share their ideas, views, and opinions openly. As a result, the public and the media can comment on any political activity and also express their dissent towards anything they think is not appropriate. Various other countries too provide freedom of speech to their citizens, but they have certain limitations. And now the freedom of speech and expression consists of freedom of press, freedom of commercial speech, right to broadcast, right to information, right to criticize, right to expression beyond national boundaries, and the right not to speak or right to silence. And the main element for the right to freedom of speech and expression is this right is available only to the citizen of India and not to the person of other nationalities. The freedom of speech under Article 19(1)(a) of the Indian Constitution include the right to express oneself through any medium such as in words of writing, printing, gesture, etc. This right is not absolute, which means that the government has the right to make laws and impose reasonable restriction in the interest of sovereignty and the integrity of India. Friendly relation with the foreign states, the security of the state, public order, decency, morality, and defamation, and incitement to an offense. And the most importance of the freedom of right to freedom of speech and expressions are the freedom of expression is a foundation for many other rights, and a free press helps informs the public. The informed voters is definitely equal to a stronger democracies. An independent press can hold the powerful interest to an account. Without a freedom of expression, reporting is restrained. The marginalized and minority issues are heard through freedom of speech and expression. And then freedom of press and commercial speech. Our liberty depends on the freedom of press and that cannot be limited without being lost. Stated by Thomas Jefferson to define the importance of freedom of the press. To preserve the democratic way of life, it is necessary that people should have the freedom to express their feelings and to make their views known to people at large. Freedom of speech includes propagation of one's view through print media or any other communication channels like radio and television, subject to reasonable restrictions. And the elements of freedom of press. There are three elements of freedom of the press, and these are the follows: freedom of access to all type of source of information, publication freedom, and circulation freedom. And then the concept of freedom of speech and expression. has evolved to include in its ambit all available means of expression and communication because of the advancement in technology. This includes broadcast media, electronic media, and many other. This includes the right to know or to get information is one of the aspects of freedom of speech and expression. Freedom to receive information is also included in the freedom of speech and expression through various Supreme Court judgments. And right to information. The right to know or to get the information is one of the aspects of freedom of speech and expression. Freedom to receive information is also included in the freedom of speech and expression. Right to Information Act 2005, which especially talk about the right of the people to ask the information from the government officials and the right of the voters to know about their candidates. In this case, it has been held that amended electoral reform law passed by the parliament was unconstitutional as it violated the right of the citizen to know under Article 91 of the A of the Indian Constitution and the right to criticize. We know that king is the supreme and the people are his subject. When the right to criticize act came, the system of relationship get reversed and the democratic form of the government and the people are the supreme and the state authorities is the servant of the people. The right to form an opinion and to express it in a manner that does not cause a defamation to the other person to whom such criticism is directed to protect under the freedom of speech and expression. That means anything that disturbs the public peace or public tranquility, disturbs the public order, but mere criticism of the a government does not necessarily disturb the public order. It is also necessary that there must be a reasonable nexus between the restriction imposed and the achievement of the public order. Democracy allows for open discussion and criticism of policies.
I'm Sneha and now I'll be explaining about freedom of assembly. Freedom of assembly is recognized as individual right or ability of people to come together and collectively express and promote their ideas. And it is often mistaken that freedom of assembly refers only to protesting against government. Although in majority of the cases it refers to protesting, it can also be for anything, like even if a group of people wanted to gather in a public place in order to conduct a game, etc. The freedom of peaceful assembly is sometimes used interchangeably with the freedom of association. The difference between them is that freedom of peaceful assembly refers to freedom to assemble in public places, and freedom of association refers to freedom to join any association. And another difference is that freedom of assembly is often used in context of right to protest, while freedom of association is used in context of labor rights. The right to peacefully assemble belongs to all individuals, including persons belonging to minority and those working on sensitive issues such as human rights defenders, migrants, etc. Now we'll see about the importance of assembly. Freedom of assembly ensures people can gather and meet both publicly and privately. Assemblies can turn into a platform where people can advocate for change and also raise awareness about the issue that matter to them, whether it is human rights, socio-economic rights, or any other issue. The heart of any democratic society is giving its people the right to express their grievances through peaceful protest. Most importantly, states should ensure that the right to freedom of assembly is protected, especially when those who assemble protest against public policies or challenge the state. So, the right to freely choose the location and timing of the assembly also comes under the right to peacefully assemble, and no one can involve in this and deny this. Unfortunately, there are some restrictions on the assembly. The right to peaceful protest is indeed a core component of to the right to peacefully assembly. But government often violate the right to freedom of assembly as a method of suppressing critical voices. And when people are denied the right to freedom of assembly, it can have serious impacts for society, leading to violence. So, states must refrain from using methods to abusively restrict the right to protest. Instead of doing that, they should facilitate the access to public space and ensure the smooth holding of protest without any involvement of violence. So, now I have given two example cases for freedom of assembly. The first one is the Coxsway, New Hampshire, and it is an example of freedom of assembly coming before the court system. So, in that town, it is a rule that the license should be obtained before any parades could be held within the town. But in 1941, Willis Cox, Walter Chaplinsky, John Conides, and nearly 80 others gathered in a hall in Manchester, New Hampshire, with the purpose of conducting an information march during which they could carry signs and hand out leaflets to passersby, inviting them to attend the talk. The government has nothing to do against this, but the issue arose because the group had already planned their march in advance and they did not seek a permit for the march. As a result, police arrested 68 of the marchers. They were convicted in municipal court for violating the rules and they prohibited the unlicensed parades. The Superior Court conducted a new trial before a jury that also found the defenders guilty. So, in this case, it is the mistake of the people as they did not seek the permission for the march earlier. The next case is well known to everyone. The Women's March, which held in January 2017. Here, women from all across the globe participated in a march to protest against the inauguration of President Donald Trump. This happened because of the comments which were given by Trump during his campaign that many believed were anti women or just offensive in general. So, the march became the longest single day protest in American history, with women assembling to advocate for human rights, including reproductive rights, workers' rights, and racial equality. So, the next topic will be explained by Vaishnavi.
Freedom of association is a fundamental right given by the Constitution of India under Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause C. So it proclaims that all citizens have freedom to form associations or unions for lawful purposes. It can be for our own interests, such as we can join in political parties or cooperative society or clubs. So, initially, only the right was given to form only unions. Later, the right was extended and it was given to form cooperatives also. So, the right was modified at 97th Constitutional Amendment 2011. ஸோ இதில் வந்துட்டு என்னென்னா இப்போ வந்துட்டு நம்ம போய் ஒரு அசோசியேஷன் வந்துட்டு நம்ம ஃபார்ம் பண்ணுறோம் அப்படின்னா அது ஒரு லாஃபுல் பர்பஸ்க்காக இருக்கணும். ஒரு யூனியனோ இல்லை ஒரு கோஆப்ரேட்டிவோ ஒரு பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டிலேயோ நம்ம போய் சேர்றோன்னா அது இட் ஷுட் சர்வ் அ லாஃபுல் பர்பஸாக இருக்கணும். அதுதான் இங்கே வந்துட்டு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. அண்ட் ஃபஸ்ட்டு வந்துட்டு ஒரு யூனியன் மட்டும் தான் ஃபார்ம் பண்ணுறதுக்கான இது கொடுத்துருந்தாங்க ரைட்ஸு. லேட்டர் வந்துட்டு மாடிஃபை பண்ணி அதை 97th கான்ஸ்டியூஷனல் அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் ஆக்ட் 2011 மாடிஃபை பண்ணி கோஆப்ரேட்டிவும் நம்ம வந்துட்டு ஃபார்ம் பண்ணிக்கலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அதை வந்துட்டு இன்க்ளூட் பண்ணாங்க. ஸோ நெக்ஸ்ட், restrictions to freedom of association. So the restriction to freedom of association is kept under the Article 19 Clause 4. In this, it is stated that the trade unions cannot call for, it does not have the right to enjoy or it does not have the right to call for bandh or strike because it creates the sense of psychological fear and paralyzes the normal life in society. ஸோ இதில் வந்துட்டு என்ன சொல்கிறாங்கன்னா, இப்போ வந்துட்டு ஒரு ட்ரேட் யூனியனோ இல்லைன்னா வந்துட்டு ஒரு கோஆப்ரேட்டிவ் சொசைட்டி ஆர் கிளப்பு ஏதாவது வந்துட்டு நம்ம என்ன உள்ளே இருக்கிற அந்த முடிவை மட்டும்தான் நம்ம வந்துட்டு ஒன்றா சேர்ந்து எடுக்கிறதுக்கு அந்த கிளப்பை வந்துட்டு முன்னேற கொண்டு வரத்துக்கு என்னென்ன முடிவோ அதை உள்ளே இருந்து நம்ம எடுக்கிறதுக்கான ரைட்ஸ் மட்டும் தான் இருக்குது. நம்மளா எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரைக்கோ இல்லை ஒரு பந்தோ அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்கான ரைட்ஸ் நம்மளுக்கு கிடையாது. ஏன்னா நம்ம வந்துட்டு ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரைக்கோ பந்தோ அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ணோன்னா பப்ளிக்கோட நார்மல் லைஃப்பும் அஃபெக்ட் ஆகும். ஸோ த பப்ளிக் நார்மல் லைஃப் மேட்டர்ஸ் மச். ஸோ வந்துட்டு இந்த இடத்துல நம்ம அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு இதை மீறணும் அப்படின்னா இந்த ஸ்டேட் கேன் டேக் த பவர் அப்படிங்கிறது தான் கிளாஸ் 4ல் வந்துட்டு நம்மளுக்கு சொல்கிறாங்க. So the main motive is it should not affect the public peace and tranquility. அது வந்துட்டு பப்ளிக்கோட பீஸையும் பப்ளிக்கோட இதையும் வந்துட்டு பப்ளிக்கோட ட்ராங்குலிட்டியும் என்றைக்குமே அது வந்துட்டு அஃபெக்ட் பண்ணாத மாதிரி நம்ம எல்லா முடிவும் நம்ம வந்துட்டு நம்ம அசோசியேஷனில் எடுக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. அப்படி இல்லை அப்படின்னா கிளாஸ் 4 படி த ஸ்டேட் ஹேஸ் த ரைட் டு இம்போஸ் ரீசனபிள் ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்ஷன்ஸ். So the main objective is to regulate the freedom in profession and business and not to make collective bargaining on any objective or decision would justified in the interest of public. So at last we can simply say that the constitution provides the freedom for all citizens to form associations, but this right is however subjected to the power of state to make any laws imposing reasonable restrictions such as interest of sovereignty and integrity of India, public order and morality. So அட் லாஸ்ட்டாக வந்துட்டு என்னென்னா நம்ம வந்துட்டு என்ன வேணால் நம்ம ஒரு கிளப்பாக ஃபார்ம் பண்ணிக்கலாம், என்ன வேணால் நம்ம போய் ஃபார்ம் பண்ணிக்கலாம், இல்லை நம்ம போய் சேர்ந்துக்கலாம் எந்த கிளப்பில் வேணாலும். ஆனால் கடைசியில் என்னென்னா அது வந்துட்டு பப்ளிக் பீஸை வந்துட்டு என்ஷூர் பண்ணணும் அண்ட் பப்ளிக்கோட இன்டெகிரிட்டியை என்ஷூர் பண்ணணும். தட் மேட்டர்ஸ் மச். அதுதான் வந்துட்டு இந்த ஆர்டிக்கலில் வந்துட்டு சொல்கிறாங்க.